what are their contributions, what are their limitations, how it applies to us, in what manner, to what extent. So now we'll discuss cognitive school of psychology. For the cognitive approach and cognitive neuroscience, yeah, please take a mic.
In the state of observation of separating the self and the body, how should one feel in terms of body? Whether the body has to become light, because I felt the body is getting weight. I don't know how many of them felt that, whether you felt the body was light or heavy. How do we come to some conclusion that we are going in the right direction?
So what is light or heavy here? I'm asking.
Body.
I'm asking, how do you sense that it is light or heavy?
I felt that body is becoming heavier when I kept closing my eyes and separating the self and the body.
Yeah, so don't force it upon you. Right? Nothing to force. In fact, just be there with yourself and observe. So if I try to force, then the body may appear to be heavy, the head may appear to be heavy. No need to force. Just be natural and observe. If you are not the body and you observe, you are able to see that you are not the body. So there is no need to push at all, force anything upon us. Right? Even not this idea that I am not the body. Just observe where you are and where the body is. Right? And we will come to see it. We will see that generally, I have seen one thing, when you wake up in the morning, right? So the association with the body is not so hard. But when you start planning about things and you start taking care of the body, it appears as if you have become one with the body. Right? So you start associating yourself completely with the body. Otherwise, when you wake up in the morning, right, and just if you look at that moment, you are not so closely or deeply associated with the body. You are there. Right? Now you will see that if I try to observe myself, then in my observation there could be a stage when I am suddenly able to see that yes, this is me and this is the body. This is quite possible. This can happen. And those experiences help you explore and observe further.
Yes, Bhaiya. So in that case, we can travel with ourselves everywhere around the world.
Don't go there. Be with the body first. See, I'm not saying that you get dissociated. I'm only saying the association with the body is not so hard. Okay? And when you observe closely, you can see how it is associated. Dissociation is something else. Assuming me to be the body is one thing. Right? Being able to see that I am not the body is another thing. And moving spatially apart is something else. I am not asking you to do that. Yes. So this is another cognitive approach, and it is something to do with the neuroscience. So science is always influenced by the technology that surrounds it, and psychology is no exception here. Thus it is no surprise that beginning in the 1960s, growing numbers of psychologists began to think about the brain and about human behavior in terms of the computer, which was being developed and becoming publicly available at that time. So they started utilizing instruments to study the activities in the brain, with different emotions, what happens in the brain. When we are happy, what happens in the brain? When we are unhappy, what happens in the brain? Excited, what is happening in the brain? Depressed, what is happening in the brain? And they started reading those signals. So the analogy between the brain and the computer, although by no means perfect, provided part of the impetus for a new school of psychology called cognitive psychology. So you'll see that this cognitive psychology has become an important part of psychology today. Cognitive psychology is a field of psychology that studies mental processes including perception, thinking, memory and judgment. Now you can see that if I have this right understanding of the self, this cognitive psychology, the way they are trying to attempt at various aspects of the self, it can be understood with too much of clarity. What is perception, what is thinking, what is memory, what is judgment, right? We can all make out. Otherwise it appears as to be something abstract, right? I can see what is happening at the level of selecting and testing when I am judging. What is happening at the level of analyzing and comparing when I am judging. What is there as an imaging when I am judging, right? So there is some feeling there. It is guiding some thought. On that basis I am testing something and then selecting something and making a judgment. I can make out how I perceive the reality. How do I associate meaning to the sensation? So something that we are trying to do presently also. So that is the perception. Thinking, what is going on at the level of analyzing and comparing. Memory. Memory is basically retention. Something that I retain. And they have worked a lot on memory, but memory is basically retention. So whether the memory is there in the brain or the self, right, that we can see. So there is some retention in the brain also. If the brain gets dysfunctional, then you are not able to remind yourself of certain things, because the transaction that you are doing with the brain is not very regular now. It is retarded now, isn't it? So we can also understand various status of health of the body by this. If the child is mentally retarded, what is happening? If a person is turning mad, what is happening? If a person is losing memory, what is happening? By the old age we start losing memory, what is happening, right? If there is a very small child, the child is not able to perceive so many things, what is happening? So with the clear understanding of self and body, we can understand all this. So these actions correspond well to the processes that computers perform. Although cognitive psychology began in earnest in the 1960s, early psychologists had also taken up cognitive orientation. So some of the important contributions to cognitive psychology include German psychologist Hermann Ebbing Gauss from 1850 to 1909, who studied the ability of people to remember lists. Who studied the ability of people to remember lists of words under different conditions, and the English psychologist Sir Frederick Bartlett 1886 to 1969, who studied the cognitive and social processes of remembering. Right? So how does one person remember something? Bartlett created short stories that were in some ways logical but also contained some very unusual and unexpected events. So Bartlett discovered that people found it very difficult to recall the stories exactly even after being allowed to study them repeatedly. And he hypothesized that the stories were difficult to remember because they did not fit in the participants' expectations about how stories should go. Right. The idea that our memory is influenced by what we already know was also a major idea behind the cognitive development stage made of Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. Other important cognitive psychologists include Donald Broadbent, Daniel Kahneman, George Miller, Elinor Roche, and Amos Tversky. So some of the examples are here. Let's say memory. So research by psychologists like Ebbing Gauss and Badley on memory processes such as encoding, storage and retrieval. Now this is something as an analogy to computer. How something gets encoded in me, right? How it gets stored, how it gets retrieved again. Now I found one thing. Let's say next time when I come to SRM, I will be able to recognize every face that I have met you and seen you, but not particularly the name, not every name. Why does that happen? Yes. Yeah, so you'll see that that I'll explain further. Since the question has come, so I am sharing it here. You'll see that with the brain, the expectation, the selecting and testing is closely associated, this activity, right? So, like the physiochemical changes taking place in the brain, if the brain is healthy, then this is working in some manner. If the brain is not so healthy, this will be working some another manner. And there are lots of testing taking place one by one. If I am able to look at the things at the level of thought also, analyze. So for example, I see some face, it has been tested, but I am seeing so many faces, right? But if I am interacting with you, I am also analyzing something as transaction with you. So that will help me retain your memory further. But I start feeling related to you at the level of feeling, it will retain further. So you'll see that the retention of the feeling would be lasting longer. At the level of thought, still less. At the level of expectation, still less. So for example, like we are interacting in a human values workshop. So that feeling is there. So there is one kind of relationship that is there. So that will help me relate to you any other time. Now here again, if you look at the level of testing, what is happening? Name I could hear maybe in these 4 days only for few seconds. Somebody named oneself, right? If I do not need your name to transact with you, then I will not repeat it also to myself. But I am seeing faces for 8 hours every day. So the retention of the face would be longer, right? So one is able to recognize the face, though not name that long, that way. It may be the case that due to some feeling, that person is very important, right? And then you remember that name, even though you don't remember the face. So again, you are assigning some higher level of importance to that person, at some level of feeling.
Sometimes visual impact is very powerful.
Pardon? Yeah. Because repetition is there, no? The hearing of the name is not so frequent. But
in communication, even when we communicate, we speak
take a mic.
Sir, even in communication we say that as a teacher we need to present certain things on the board. Through visual mode it reaches the students better than words.
Yeah.
So,
And if you try to gamify things so that they start enjoying, something like that,
Sure.
then they will retain further. So
Yes.
this has been a part of pedagogy,
exactly.
isn't it? So if you look at the way we teach children, because their brain is under development, so in place of just using words, we use pictures, and maybe probably for animals, because they are able to relate to animals better, isn't it? Not to buildings or other things. So most of the fables that have been made or the animation that have been made contain animals, so that they are able to relate. So research by psychologists on memory process. So application daily life using mnemonic devices or visualization to remember grocery lists, passwords or study materials. So for example, how do you remember certain things? How do you remember your password? You try to use your password on the name of somebody you like. Maybe your son, daughter, spouse, so that you are able to retain that password. Because you have that feeling of relationship there, isn't it? Or you may use some cue, something that gets you reminded of. Some cue is there, generally to remind oneself. Or study materials. For example, if you have to remember these 9 feelings, I found that in AKTU, to remember the 9 feelings, they have made one Q, an acronym. Trust T, respect R, affection A, care guidance, so TR is track, G, and then reverence, gratitude, glory, yeah. And they will make some kind of an acronym there, so that they can remember. Setting reminders or using digital calendars to support memory. So like the way we use the reminders, or digital calendar. Applying chunking, breaking information into smaller parts to memorize phone numbers or addresses. Now you can just see, right, what we remember faster, what we remember in a very uneven manner, and how do we remember it. I do see that there is a place called Faridabad in Haryana, right, and there is one university called Manorachna there. So I generally tend to forget the name of the city, Faridabad, but remember Manorachna. So there is one Baba Farid who was the saint. So I do remember that Baba Mano is there, some Baba Farid is there, and that's how I remember Faridabad.
I remember the places, but I can't remember if some people will say like if they are interacting with one person, they can say like they wore this dress, this color dress, everything they will say, the name, everything they will say. But I am weak in that. But I went to like if I am going to some places, but I can remember the way, I can remember the place. That I can remember, but
Yeah.
persons.
Yeah, generally, if you have to remember how you went to a place, you may not tell. But if you are taken to that place, you are remembering that on this side there was a signboard, on that side there was a hotel,
Yeah,
then there was a crossroad.
Mark everything I can
Yes.
say. Persons I
Then problem solving and decision making. So studies by Herbert Simon and Daniel Kahneman on heuristics, mental shortcuts and decision making. So choosing the best route for commuting by quickly evaluating traffic updates. Deciding what to cook based on available ingredients using mental shortcuts. Solving a household repair issue by mentally simulating steps before acting. So these are the mental processes that we keep on doing. Now you can see what we are actually doing here. We are doing something at the level of primarily analyzing and comparing. And there is a feeling behind it, isn't it? So we are doing something at the level of analyzing and comparing. Attention. So Broadbent's filter theory explains how people selectively focus attention on certain stimuli while ignoring others. So application daily life would be like ignoring background noise to concentrate on reading or studying. So how do we focus our attention? What measures do we take? Focusing on a conversation at a noisy party like cocktail party effect or something, using do not disturb modes to minimize distractions during work. Right. So this attention memory that has been studied a lot. Then language processing. So Noam Chomsky's theory of language acquisition and information processing models. So application daily life, learning a new language through apps that break down grammar and vocabulary systematically. So generally you will see that to remember something, right, we analyze, we break into parts. So for example, if you have to make a good rasam, you break into parts. What all to be used, when to be used, step by step. If you make all those steps, it will be a good rasam. If you mix up them, it will be a complete mixture only, not good rasam.
how much good it is.
Yeah. If you look at that aroma also, how do you come to see that it has been cooked? You remember that aroma?
Yeah, the parts, the smell of each and
Yeah. For example, you are preparing dal in a cooker. In how many whistles you have to put it down? How do you remember? It's not the same every time.
Yes.
Depending on the amount of water, the type of pulses that you are using, you will have different numbers of whistles. Similarly, how do you make out that the rice has got cooked? So they use touch. You will take out one grain of rice, touch it, and then decide. You are not doing that by aroma, not by sound. You are doing by touch. But how do you make that the vegetable has been cooked? By smell. So sound for dal, touch for rice, and smell for vegetable. Yes, I am learning it. Even there, no, I have found like in our place we make roti, dal, chawal and sabji. So dal and chawal are very simple to make. You have no active role. You just put it on the oven and gets cooked. Yeah, you pack dal in the cooker, you put water there. When the water starts boiling, you put rice inside, right, and it gets cooked by itself. The only labor that you have to do is in terms of making vegetable. Chapati also no. You just prepare that needed flour, right, and then you have to, the amount of chapati you want to eat, you can prepare in few minutes. But this vegetable will take you 45 minutes. For that also you can break into parts. Let me cut the vegetables on the prior evening. Then do this preparation before starting to put the kadai on the chulha. And then All these are processing in the memory, that is you are doing. Only that we are not documenting it. And they are trying to document it like that. Pardon?
Decide like what I have to cook in the next day morning. Breakfast, lunch, everything I have to decide what I am going to cook. What are the vegetables are there, what I have to do.
Yeah, so when you,
Fix that, morning everything will be for last.
and with that only, when you get down from the bus, then you go to purchase vegetable. Because you already decided what to be cooked on the next morning. Yeah. Perception. So there is something called Gestalt psychology, and this is also an important stream of psychology, right? We are not studying it here. It is a kind of offshoot from this cognitive approach. So principle showing how we organize sensory information into patterns and wholes. So this Gestalt is saying that whole is greater than sum of the parts. For example, if I am looking at someone, I identified that this person is Mr. XYZ. It's not that I am looking at the eyes, nose, cheeks, teeth, and hair, and then joining them together and saying that this person is Mr. XYZ. Just by looking at one part, I can make out this person is there. So what he says that whole is more than sum of the parts. So how we make patterns and how we look at the whole. So recognizing faces in photos quickly, even with low resolution. So if I show my daughter a photograph where our batch has been photographed and I am sitting just in one corner, she will simply recognize that I am there. So how do you recognize the face? Right? In fact, if your face is shown of early childhood, right, and somebody close in the family is seeing, your face has changed a lot, but something has not changed. Looking at that, one can make out that this is the person. Yes.
I have that problem of reading incomplete, no? Because I always be in a hurry. So I don't want to read it completely, so I fill my words fast. Say for example, when I went to Viterbi, for me it is easy to say Vibharti. So I will never say Viterbi, it will be Vibharti for me only all the time.
What is that?
There is a school called Viterbi, USC, there is a school called Viterbi. I used to call it as a Vibharti. Because for me this word only easy, not that word. So I fix my easy words to make it very faster in a hurry.
Yeah, so this is what is being said. In fact, no, what is being said is that even if one does not write understanding, one just writes UNDRSNDG. You are able to make out that this is understanding. So basically when we are reading the word also, you are not reading actually the whole spelling. By just reading few letters, you make out the sense that this is understanding. So when you are observing, you are not looking at every part. By looking at some parts, you get the whole. You are generally aware of it. So when you are seeing your child, you will not look into the face and these are the eyes, these are the nose. So this is why this is the child. You are just able to make out that this is the child. Yeah. So this is how we perceive. Navigating spaces, for example, reading maps, assembling furniture by visualizing the final structure. Then there is a therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. So CBT is grounded in cognitive theory and focuses on changing negative thought patterns. Application daily life could be like challenging negative thoughts about self or situations to reduce stress or anxiety. So maybe if you are getting some negative thought, you ask yourself, what if this happens? What will happen? Right? Ask yourself, go into that situation, what if this happens? Body is material, material will remain as material, self is consciousness, continuous, it will remain as continuous, what will happen? So nothing to fear. Right? Using self-talk to remain positive and motivated during difficult tasks. Here again, you may either try to condition yourself or you may try to observe yourself. Like one could be all is well, nothing will happen. I am not saying that. Pardon? Yes, nothing will happen. You are going to be there forever. Each one of us is going to be there forever. Nothing will happen. Even if the earth is not there, we are there. Pardon? No need to cut off the feelings. To have the right feeling. To have the right feeling with the self, right feeling with the rest of nature. Right? If you look at the reality, it is so natural and simple. We make it complicated in our own thoughts. We will try to weave into our thoughts and make it a very complicated structure. Otherwise, consciousness remains as consciousness, material remains as material, space is there as space, and all are coexisting. Right? In place of looking at events, gradually you start looking at the laws, the way events are taking place. Isn't it? And the more you are observant there at the level of laws, you are able to see the continuity, the definiteness, the certainty, and you are able to come out of the uncertainty. Yes.
That's why they differentiate men's brain and women's brain. Men's brain are in boxes. They just open the box and put it inside. But women's brain, they try to connect, entangle everything and make it a big issue.
Yeah, try to look into all these issues. Yeah. Try to look into all the issues, how we have got conditioned. I'll see that a major conditioning is because of the safety of the body, because of which we have so much apprehension and fear, and because of which we associate respect to so many things, because of which things get very complicated. So,
I think it is easy for men to go into natural acceptance quickly than women.
அதுவும் புரியாது எதுவுமே புரியாது நம்ம பழகியாச்சு புரிஞ்சிரும் புரியவே புரியாது.
But if you see in this workshop, the number of women is higher.
We are here to more explore, sir. Already they are already fulfilled.
Now what we have found, like women have a huge role to play in terms of education and health, and men have a huge role to play in production of physical facilities, because that requires some masculine work also. Yeah, I am saying in general. So for example, since you are used to nurturing babies from childhood, so you'll see in most of the primary schools we have mostly female teachers. So that is a natural kind of conditioning that is taking place. So that could be possible. But yes, at the level of self, both men and women are the same. We have to see how we associate with the body, how we get conditioned with the body, right? And how it leads to further perceptions or our reasoning or our analyzing and comparing, that we can make out. Just try to observe. You take any incident, how we look at it. Then practicing mindfulness to improve focus and regulate emotions.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah.
Sir, I have
Speak louder. There are 4 mics.
Is the role of positive affirmations, law of attraction, and gratitude journal, all those things going around now, sir? Is there any role does it play to realizing all these things?
See, all that can become clear. You see, like we look at the phenomena and try to hypothesize it by giving some notion, some concept, some idea. But you will see that if I have the right understanding and right feeling, my expression would be of one kind. If one is not having the right feeling, if I am not having the right feeling, my expression will be of another kind. So people who are not having the right understanding will naturally get associated together. People who have the right understanding will get associated together. People who have one kind of conditioning will get associated together. Now how to analyze and evaluate this? So one may say that this is law of attraction. Otherwise what is happening? You will see that those who smoke are mostly found together. Those who gossip will be found together. So it's so one can call it law of attraction, but it's basically our expression. No, we are looking for somebody with a similar thought and feeling, similar liking. That's how it is working.
But husband and wife opposite poles, Bhaiya. Not together. Since they are together, opposite.
Yeah, not exactly opposite. See, it is complementary.
Complementary.
And there's a nice complementarity there. Only that, no, at the level of feeling, we need to be resolved. How to complement each other.
Bhaiya, in that human psychology, like the gender equality is there, Bhaiya. It is open to male and female. Because in society, there are more men, we usually more prominent.
Yeah, see, I say that it's not the matter of gender equality.
No, okay.
Let me say, like somebody was just saying that, do I consider men and women are equal? Then I said that, are all women equal? So in the same gender, if you do not understand equality, how can you equate to the other gender? So within women also, we are considering some as superior, some as inferior. Now if you are not equal among women only, how can we equal to men? Similarly, if all men are not equal, then how can we be equal to women? How do we make that set also? It's the matter of right evaluation.
Okay, Bhaiya, but in society, you know, Bhaiya, like from one small survey only, like when it is in the base level, one entry level, 50% for male and female, those are working. In the middle level management, it becomes 60% of male, 40% of female. If they are reaching the top level management, only 10% of female are there. So that may be the reason for that males are more prominent in many things happening in the society, since we are talking about that. Because when we are studying there daily, like one boy is in infatuation, or he is in love with one girl. Since she is not accepting, he is going and punishing. So what power that male boys are having, the girl will not go and do like that. Maybe in other way.
No, all those things are happening.
But he is going and hitting
the
something.
The girl will make that boy beaten by some other boy.
Okay.
See, it's not the issue of man or woman, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, you can see the patterns here. So with where we are living today.
Okay. But is it not the male or dominating in our society, Bhaiya? No.
In the family, who is dominating? Just observe. Who is dominating the family?
I am dominating, Bhaiya. Because for the right cause, yes, of course.
Now you say, when you are dominating, you are saying that I am dominating for the right cause. Okay. When the male is dominating, why are we not able to see this? That
because
he also
they are
might
not at all thinking about anything.
Yeah. Now there are many reels, no? I can see that there are many reels where a woman would be suggesting to women that please have mercy on men.
Sir, this is not
there are so many reels.
Sir, it's not always dominating by women.
I am not saying always, nothing like always here. I am saying
because
ask yourself.
Most of the men are not taking care of anything in their mind, and they are not doing the things properly in the houses. That's why.
Now what is happening? You design your standards and say that this is proper, other is improper. So you have to find for yourself, in your family, are you dominating or not? If you are dominating, then resolve yourself. If other is dominating, help other get resolved.
Bhaiya, again that male is raised by a woman only, no?
Male is?
That man is raised by a woman only, no? If she raises that person correctly, he would be a equal person, not a dominating person.
Yeah.
So again it's coming to women
Generally
power.
in the families what happens? There is more distraught relation between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Both are women. Yeah, nice. So, to sum it up, the cognitive approach helps explain and improve thinking, memory. Yeah, here. The cognitive approach helps explain and improve thinking, memory, attention, language and problem solving, making it highly applicable in everyday activities such as studying effectively, making wise decisions, communicating clearly, solving daily challenges, managing emotions and stress. So, we are utilizing the cognitive psychology for all these issues. They are also utilizing them for designing, right, for technology. So, some famous psychological experiments and case studies. So, memory and forgetting by Ebbing-Gauss forgetting curve. How quickly we forget information over time if no effort is made to retain it. So, he memorized lists of nonsense syllables and tested his memory at intervals. He found that forgetting happens rapidly after learning but levels off after time. This is something very common. All of us are able to see this. Memory retention drops steeply soon after learning but stabilizes later. What does it stabilize? You have to see. So, if you keep on analyzing it, keep on having some feeling for it, then it stabilizes. Right? So, for example, in your class, when you are teaching, out of 60 you might be remembering 30 names. Just after 2 weeks, you might be remembering only 5 names. But then you are able to remember those 5 names because you got associated with those 5 names.
Yeah, then why we are having this, we know everything we're going to forget. Understanding which is there in understanding only we are going to carry. Even now what we understood remains same and it's going to be ever. Then why we have this system of exams, and I don't know nothing in my chemistry what I have studied, but I have gone through a lot for this.
No, see, it's not like that. When we have to produce physical facility, right, when you have to work in the system, then we need lot of information. And for that we need lot of processing in the self. So, this education, the skill development part helps me get information as well as skills to process it. That is there.
But anyway, we are going to forget all this chemistry and physics now.
Yeah, but when I require it, for example, the food will get digested anyway. So, why do we eat the food? Helpful at that time, isn't it? Yes. Yes.
Chemistry is also unconscious level, it will be reflected per day.
See, for Supraja has said, even that food gets digested, it gives energy. Like no, as she said, chemistry there it is going to help us. It is giving energy.
Yeah, now you will see that particularly for chemistry, it is found that it is no longer being used in computer science and electronics, right? So, to some extent they are trying to remove it also, but there also you can see it has application in day-to-day life. Like the whole environmental science, if you see it is biology and chemistry. Of course physics also to some extent.
Subjects which not useful in future also for the students.
Yeah. So that's why chemistry is being limited to only one semester. But there also if you go for manufacturing, if you are talking about chemical processing, or somebody is going for chemical engineering, right, or biochemistry, right. So all those require knowledge of chemistry, and to some extent we do know. For example, if you are putting salt in the dal, you might remember this is NaCl, right, and what it can do, what it can do, right. Yeah, water is H2O. So that helps you relate better. So that primary knowledge is required, otherwise material will remain completely unfamiliar with us. In fact, we may not be remembering every element in the periodic table, but we are able to remember that there is a periodic table and all the elements in this planet are known to us. There are some inert gases, there is oxygen, there is hydrogen, when there is pollution you say that okay, carbon monoxide is going up. Now if you are not learning chemistry and somebody says carbon monoxide is going up, I may think that there is some monkey which is going up. or some unhidden, some hidden thing is going up, right? So we need to be acquainted with all this.
Bhaiya, the role of right understanding and is very much necessary and also working in terms of the memorizing or remembering some things, I suppose. Because if I am going to one class for one semester, within a month I will remember all the 72 names, Bhaiya. Why? Because I have the belief that if I have the control over them, I can able to handle the class for entire semester easily. If I am going for alteration for one period, since I don't know their name, they will take advantage of that, they will not listen. But if they come to know about their names, unknowingly I will call them by name, they will not do anything for the entire semester since they know that madam knows our name. They will make use of, the staff is not knowing their name, they will do something. Because of that I get affected. That is my previous experience maybe. So I am thinking when you started today's session, how I am remembering all the 72 names, everybody will ask. When you are teaching only, I am just connecting with the feeling of respect, with the feeling of right understanding, so that I can handle my entire semester peacefully, and also I will take care of the students so that I can guide them in right
with
way.
right understanding, so happens, no? With right understanding, I am at peace with myself.
Yes, that I need actually.
If I am at peace with myself, I can receive the information better, retain better.
I can communicate.
Otherwise, some information is coming, but I am confused, in contradiction within. So even I do not receive that information properly.
Okay.
Like for example, if you are in stress and somebody said something to you, what are you saying? Say it again.
Oh, yes.
Does it happen or not? But if I am at peace with myself, I can listen very properly. I have many times found that if somebody is telling you the mobile number, right? So just like there are 10 digits, if the person says 5 digits first and 5 digits next, in one go you can simply retain and note it. But if you are not at peace, the other person is saying some number and you ask him, what did you say? He will repeat. And this is the next number or the same number, you are again asked. Now telling a single mobile number becomes such a difficult task. Have you seen this? But if you are at peace with yourself, you can simply receive the information and store it. Nice. So the need for repetition or review sessions after learning. So using spaced learning improves long-term memory. Explains why students forget material soon after exams if not received. So looking at this is going to benefit you better if you have 4 days of workshop now and 4 days next month. During this period you are going to retain too many things, right? And when we come next, we will have a lot of processing done, and with that processing we will go further. Then multi-store model of memory, right? So the concept is the structure of memory involving sensory memory, short-term memory and long-term memory. So this person gave these words, sensory memory, short-term memory, long-term memory. So participants were asked to recall, participants were asked to recall words from a list. Words at the beginning, primacy effect, and end, recency effect, were recalled better than those in the middle. So the key findings are that early words enter long-term memory, primacy, recent words stay in the short-term memory, recency, and the practical implications would be like importance of chunking and prioritizing key information during learning. Helps improve study techniques and marketing, placing key points at the start of the end of the messages. So that this is there in memory, we are always keeping this diagram here, that this gets printed in you, right? And with this at the base, we are reading so many things. Yeah, just one point more. So working memory model by Badley. So working memory has multiple components: phonological loop, audio, visual spatial sketchpad, visual, and central executive control. For the summary is that participants struggle to do two tasks using the same type of memory, for example 2 visual tasks, but could manage tasks involving different components. Right. So for example, let's say you have a staff and you are giving money to the staff to work. If you are giving 1000 rupees every time, you will forget. But if you give 900 sometime, 1100 some other time, 800 some other time, you will remember. Right? But you are repeating the same amount every time. How many times you gave, you may not remember. So when you are giving money to the children, give different amounts at different times, hai na? So that you remember how much you have given. So memory has specialized systems for processing different types of information simultaneously. So it explains why multitasking often fails when tasks use the same mental resources. Used in educational teachings to improve teaching aids by combining visual and verbal elements effectively. So nice, we'll have few more examples. With this we'll break for tea and then come back by 11:15 and discuss further.